Darius Bennett stood trembling in the back of a packed New York courtroom as Judge Prescott sneered from the bench, "Your mother is guilty, boy. Nothing a kid from Bed-Stuy says will change that." But what the judge didn't know was that the notebook clutched in Darius's hands held more than scribbles. It held the truth. The kind of truth that could not only free his mother, but take down one of the most corrupt judges in the city's history. Before we dive into this incredible story, let us know which country you're watching from. And if you believe justice shouldn't depend on wealth or skin color, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's see how a 12-year-old boy dared to take on the courtroom and the system that was built to silence him. 12-year-old Darius Bennett sat at the breakfast table in their tiny Bedford-Stuyvesant apartment, his mom Tasha humming softly as she poured him orange juice. Moments later, their front door exploded open. NYPD officers stormed in, shouting over each other, guns drawn. Darius froze, clutching his spoon. Tasha raised her hands, trembling. "On the ground, now!" barked an officer. Within minutes, the apartment lay in complete ruin. Picture frames shattered on the floor, drawers wrenched open with their contents spilling out like the aftermath of a storm. The officers showed no regard for what they destroyed. Amid the chaos, Tasha was shoved against the wall as Darius looked on in horror. "Please, there's been a mistake," she tried to reason. As she was dragged toward the door, she turned to her son with one final cry. "Call Aunt Raina," she choked out. "Stay strong, baby. Don't let them break you." The door slammed shut behind her, leaving Darius trembling in the debris of their life, his heart pounding louder than the silence that followed. Their crime? Tasha was accused of stealing confidential files from Caldwell and Huxley LLP, the elite Manhattan law firm where she worked as an administrative assistant. Tasha had been exemplary at work. She never missed a day, never complained. But her supervisor, Bradley Whitmore, a powerful senior partner with Ivy League credentials and mounting debt, needed a scapegoat. When sensitive client files disappeared, he blamed Tasha without evidence. "She's always hanging around the file room," he told management. No one questioned his motives. A black woman from Bed-Stuy? Easy to pin. The police acted on his word alone. At the precinct, Tasha was treated like a seasoned criminal. Her public defender, Linda Grayson, barely glanced at her case file. "They found the documents in your drawer," Linda said. "Plead guilty. Take 3 to 5 years." "But I didn't do it," Tasha protested. "Someone planted them." Linda sighed. "That's what they all say." Darius visited his mother in jail. Separated by a cold metal table, he saw the pain in her tired eyes. "I'm innocent, baby," she whispered. "But no one believes me." "I do, Mom," Darius replied. "And I'll prove it." Though she begged him to stay out of it, Darius had already made up his mind. He would not let the system crush her. The New York Public Library's Hamilton Avenue branch became Darius's refuge. In the law section, he devoured casebooks, writing notes with precise penmanship. Miss Zelena Ramirez, a sharp librarian with a kind heart, noticed. "You should be in school, not reading state penal codes," she said. Darius explained. He told her everything, how the police stormed in without a proper warrant, how they humiliated his mother, and how no one, not even the court-appointed attorney, seemed to care about the truth. She listened without interruption, her brow furrowing with every detail. "My brother was wrongly convicted too," she said finally. "I was only a teenager, but I remember how the world turned its back on us. You're not alone, Darius. I see you, and I hear you. I'll help you." Late one night, Darius sneaked into Caldwell and Huxley's building. Eugene Wallace, the firm's longtime night janitor, let him in. "Your mama's good people," he said. Eugene revealed what he saw, Bradley Whitmore sneaking files into a briefcase. Later, planting them in Tasha's drawer. "I saw it with my own eyes," Eugene said. "But I got a record. They won't believe me." At a legal aid workshop, Darius met Devin Clark, a Columbia law student. Initially skeptical, Devin changed his mind after seeing Darius's case notes. Devin introduced him to his uncle, Professor Harold Ellis, a retired NYU law professor who once challenged systemic bias in the courts. "You're smart, kid," Ellis said. "But guts alone won't win. Let's build you an army." They were joined by Monica Ruiz, an investigative journalist, and Vanessa Green, Judge Prescott's former clerk turned whistleblower. Darius slipped into the courtroom where his mother's preliminary hearing was set. When the judge, Alan Prescott, a known hardliner against black defendants, dismissed objections, Darius stood. "Your Honor," he said, "I have evidence of procedural violations." The room froze. Prescott sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "Sit down, boy. This isn't a game." Courts aren't for children pretending to play lawyer. A ripple of chuckles passed through the courtroom gallery, but Darius stood his ground, his expression unwavering. I respectfully disagree, Your Honor, he said, his voice clear and firm. Under New York State Family Court Act Section 1042, I have standing as the child of the defendant to raise procedural concerns that impact my well-being and family stability. The judge blinked, surprised by the citation. The room quieted again. You have exactly 1 minute, Prescott finally grunted, irritated but curious. Go on. Darius stepped forward, clutching his notes like a shield. In the next 60 seconds, he unleashed a torrent of precise legal points, referencing Hudson v. Michigan to challenge the unlawful search, detailing chain of custody errors, and calling out inconsistencies in the warrant's execution. His delivery was sharp, practiced, but emotional too, his words underpinned by the desperate urgency of a child fighting to save his mother. Gasps and murmurs filled the courtroom by the time he finished. Darius didn't flinch. He had made it count, and more than that, he had made them listen. Monica's news story, Boy Prodigy Defends Mother in Court, spread fast. Eyes turned to the courthouse. Civil rights attorneys, journalists, and community members showed up. Darius's fight gained momentum. Still, Judge Prescott and Bradley schemed behind closed doors at the Columbia Row Club, planning how to silence the boy. Darius requested to serve as advocate for his mother. Judge Prescott, lips curling into a condescending smile, granted the request, more as a spectacle than a concession of fairness. He expected the boy to crumble under pressure, and his approval came laced with arrogance, confident that this move would further humiliate Tasha and confirm the court's biases. But as Darius stood in front of the jury for his opening statements, his voice rang out strong and steady. This case isn't about theft, it's about truth. About the truth that's been buried under assumptions, fear, and power. The courtroom stilled. Jurors leaned forward. The gallery quieted. He spoke with clarity and precision, unraveling the prosecution's narrative thread by thread. He pointed out inconsistencies in the timeline, emphasized Tasha's spotless record, and explained how the true perpetrator had motive and access, while Tasha had none. Then came the cross-examinations. Darius, armed with facts, exposed contradiction after contradiction. He challenged the digital trail behind the alleged forged emails, suggesting metadata inconsistencies and unauthorized logins. Then Eugene Wallace, the janitor, stepped up to the stand. He recalled what he had witnessed. Bradley Whitmore sneaking into the office late at night, stuffing files into his briefcase, and returning later to plant them in Tasha's drawer. The courtroom gasped audibly, not just because of what he said, but because it was the first time someone outside the boys' circle had publicly challenged the firm and the prosecution. It was no longer just a boy's word, it was a revelation. Monica revealed an audio recording of Prescott, Brooks the DA, and Bradley discussing fabricated evidence. Play it, Darius said. The judge erupted, but it was too late. The truth echoed through the courtroom. Panic swept the bench. Prescott was formally removed from the bench amid a public outcry that reached beyond the courtroom. The charges against Tasha were not only dropped, they were publicly acknowledged as a miscarriage of justice. Tasha walked out of the courthouse a free woman, into the arms of her son and supporters who had followed her story from the beginning. A month later, Judge Elaine Washington, known for her integrity and commitment to fairness, held a closed-door judicial review. Unlike the previous proceedings, this one was methodical, evidence-based, and impartial. She ordered a comprehensive investigation into Judge Prescott's entire career. Hundreds of cases were examined. The findings were staggering. At least 47 wrongful convictions were identified within the first few weeks, most involving defendants from marginalized communities. Bradley finally confessed, I chose her because I thought no one would believe a black woman over me and was arrested. With the settlement, Tasha founded the Bennett Justice Initiative, providing legal help to the wrongfully accused. Eugene became the office manager. Professor Ellis joined the board. Darius returned to public school, still studying law. The problem isn't that I needed a special school to succeed, he told Monica. It's that schools don't teach us the systems built to trap us. 1 year later, a young girl named Naomi Pierce walked into the Bennett Justice office. Are you the boy who beat the judge? She asked, clutching a folder. My dad's in prison for something he didn't do. Can you help? Darius smiled. I believe you. Let's make them listen. If your loved one were wrongly accused and the system refused to listen, would you have the courage to stand up and fight, no matter the odds, or would fear keep you silent? And what do you think of the racial discrimination that still exists day to day and in our justice systems? Please let us know in the comments below.